somebody said fuck off with the countdown. So now people who tune in, not only did the countdowns not end at 5 minutes, so people now are going to skip ahead because of you in the chat. And then they're going to be like, where am I? Like, why is this guy's head so enormous? It's because you're looking at it the wrong way. I don't know why. My camera came in the wrong way, but I thought we could analyze it as long as we're overanalyzing everything. You notice it's like hard to recognize me. And my head is fucking huge, man. Why didn't anybody tell me I have such a giant forehead? So sometimes looking at things in a different way gives you a new perspective on things. That's all. So no, I honestly don't know what happened. I'm going to have to switch my camera. And it's going to be all... Oh, shoot. There. Is that better? You know, you can't recognize people when their face is upside down, right? Now my cord's going in front of me. Everything's wrong. You know what I did today? I intentionally made the title such that people who aren't interested aren't going to tune into the show today. So it's going to be like a more private version of the show that we normally do. Okay. And I'm going to overanalyze everything, which is what I've been doing lately on the show. People are letting me know. So so we will overanalyze today. And I'm going to cover the Twitter files too. There were new Twitter files, and it proves something that we made a t-shirt about. So it's actually, you know, to say we predicted it is an understatement. I literally made a t-shirt about the Twitter files that came out today because I was so correct about it. So I'll tell you guys that too. It's easier, right? And my head looks smaller. It's weird, right? Like it looks bigger the other way, but it's not. It's still huge now, but you don't notice as much because you're looking at this part. Okay. So I'm going to overanalyze the things that make people influential. The things that make people influential, we're going to analyze because I was talking about it and I talked about guys that give guys advice. And so I started saying, okay, well, I can give people advice. But then I decided that's not what people want to hear from me, right? So sometimes it's possible to just analyze things too much. But I'm going to tell you anyway. We'll talk about famous podcasters, famous people on Twitter, fame in general, what you can do, the things people like to see on YouTube, for example, like things you wouldn't think about that people are into based on experience I know about. And also, like, I know you saw my thumbnail today. It had something circled. That's a trick. They're making us all think like AI, I think. And actually, well, I don't know if they're trying to make us think more like AI or if AI is trying to think like us. But the way we do things is like AI already. We already are like AI because AI just figures out what's popular, the kinds of things people say, you know, like that's what I'm trying to figure out. I was listening to Mr. Beast on Lex Friedman, and Lex Friedman has at least two, well, maybe three predictors of being a successful podcaster. I'll explain what those are. I have a few, and they're unexpected, possibly, but I don't have all of them. Like credentials, That's a good one. I'll explain it to you though in this show, the Overanalysis of Everything, where we've intentionally titled the stream such that not too many, no extra people will tune in because it's intentionally not to be too interesting, not to manipulate people because I feel bad about it. To be honest with you, like I won't give advice anymore because you don't want to be like me. It's real conflict. The kinds of things that people are into, and so you could just do that, or you can do what's in your heart. So today the title came from the heart, but it also guarantees that the people that are here are people that care about the show and will tune in regardless. On another night, we'll do something that'll get extra people to tune in, but not tonight. That's not what this is about. This is about getting with the people that appreciate the show for what it is every day. Is that already an overanalysis? So I'll tell you that, and we will go back to doing the news too. I do want to cover news, and I'll cover the Twitter files today. Twitter's got a new thing coming out. I have a Tesla crash to cover. I have the thing about gas burning stoves. You guys already know about eggs, right? Eggs are in the news. Everybody's tweeting about eggs, how expensive they are. But inflation came out today. Inflation came out, and Bitcoin is doing really well. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are way up, although they're taking a little bit of a breather. And I made a prediction on my prediction show that Bitcoin was going under 10K. But that doesn't mean I sold all my Bitcoin. But I did sell like half because I think this one thing, Tether, is still going to crash. And so I'm taking a gamble, really, that it will. Because actually, if I'm thinking long term, the price of cryptocurrency and stuff should go up. So if I'm thinking long term, I could just buy back in everything. But I guess I'm kind of taking a risk by not owning cryptocurrency. It's a risk either way. We take risks in life. They say men are better at taking risks or more likely to take risks. Maybe that's true. But it's a risk either way. Just holding dollars in the bank is a risk. Owning whatever. The least risk is probably gold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Probably the least risk is gold in terms of it going down in value. Although they did just find twice. They did just find a lot more of it. If you want to compare it to Bitcoin, they're never going to find like $10 trillion of Bitcoin in Uganda or whatever they found the stash of gold. So that is kind of messed up. That'd be like, oh, we're going to print an extra 21 million Bitcoin. They can't do that. So Bitcoin is good. It's good. People should tell you about it. If you don't have any yet, you should get some. So I have given advice before, and there are people. So that's one way to be influential. You can give advice, financial advice. Yeah, Peter Schiff, or the Bitcoin guy I listen to. I listen to Cryptos R Us every day. It's Asian guy that just pumps Bitcoin. Just as it's like always a good time to buy Bitcoin every time you tune into his show, which is amazing. Like I thought about being a crypto influencer before, but you have to like pump coins and the people who are, and like him, for example, that kind of thing. You basically just have to say it's going up all the time. It's like Peter Schiff and gold. It's like always a good time, right? You're always bullish. So yeah, that's one way you can do it. Financial advice. So you can get financial advice here too, though. Yeah, gold, silver. I'm telling you, inflation came in today. Like, here's the thing. Just to be real with you guys, what people aren't telling you is that interest rates have been going up, and they're going to get up to maybe 5% eventually. But they say they're going to keep them up, and it's impossible without catastrophic results, basically, because of our national debt. So we have inflation. Inflation is going down. As a matter of fact, even though egg prices are going up, as a matter of fact, inflation is probably, we might already be experiencing some kind of deflation. I mean, you might have noticed gas prices are going down. I mean, in some ways you can say we have. In the same way we experienced deflation in housing prices, deflation in stock prices, deflation in Bitcoin price, all those things went down in value, all those assets. And now prices of things are going down too. So that means that they're not going to raise rates as much. And eventually, if we start to have like a depression, which is likely, then they will print money. That's because it's the only possible thing they can do. And when they do that, what do they say? Lock the doors or something? I mean, watch out, because when they do that, then stuff like Bitcoin, gold, and silver are going to go up a lot, and the dollars will go down when that happens. We can't say when for sure, but mathematically, the debt we have right now at 5%, the debt we have in a few years, just the interest on the debt is going to be over $1 trillion a year. And what are we like? We don't collect enough in taxes. It would be like half of what we collect in taxes or something would just go toward the debt at 5%. Eventually, it'll be all of it, everything. And we don't have any money for the government, so eventually shit's going to hit the fan. So be prepared for it. And I tell people to be financially prepared because it is important. We've been talking about finance on the show. We've been talking about how important it is to have money. So, and that leads me down the road to how important it is to support the Lift the Veil show. So I'll give you that. I'll give you guys that too. All right. So we cut the countdown short. We will still play an intro for you. Okay. Cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, the real news. And I'm like mission accomplished. You guys don't even know. Mission accomplished because there's fewer people here. You see how it works? This is why it's frustrating, right? Because the show is good no matter what. But people don't realize, right? They need an incentive. You got to give them a reason to tune in. I could have said the Twitter files and got people to tune in that way. But like I said, some shows, you have to know about them. So how do you get How do you get to be influential? You start noticing patterns. So I look at patterns in things. One way, and without even like getting into a conspiracy theory, but one way to be influential or to have a much higher chance of being influential is to be Jewish, basically. And what can you say? There's no way around the statistics of it. But once you start to notice that, then you're like, you'd see why people have a conspiracy theory about it, because you're much more likely to be an influential person if you are ethnically Jewish. And you can just look around. I mean, I hardly have to say anything like Lex Friedman, Libs of TikTok, Alex Stein, even though Alex Stein says he's not. Still, he's ethnically, partially, even Owen Benjamin, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Glenn Greenwald, the guys at the Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Barry Weiss, the people putting out the Twitter files, Barry Weiss, her whole brand new news agency that's like independent news. It's pretty much all Jewish people. New York Times, everything. Yeah. So it's true. Like there is no way to say that it's not true. If you are more likely to be an influential person. Now, why is that? So then it makes you think, right? Once you notice, you're like, why is that? And then you can have people come up with conspiracy theories, and they talk about nepotism and, people giving jobs to their friends or people like them, right? And then you talk about history, the history of Hollywood, the history of banking, for example. There are reasons for that. And then you get into the IQ thing, which is definitely something, worth thinking about, because a high IQ is also a predictor. I have noticed a high IQ does help. A lot of the people who are successful have a high IQ. They either say it or they prove it. But, Lex Friedman, certainly. Benjamin talks about how high his IQ is. I think he does. Joe Rogan, higher than average. Not as high as Lex Friedman. But these other people too. Ben Shapiro. They're smart. People are smart. Dave Rubin. So that is both of those things are high predictor. They may be related. So that's the thing. And I suspect maybe they are. So even though I make fun of people for always going on about how, of course, the Jews run everything, like people say, like Jordan Peterson and stuff, say, of course, the Jays run everything. It's because they're smarter. You don't understand IQ. And that's all from the bell curve. And that same book says that other races have lower IQs too, which unfortunately also may be true based on just doing an analysis of it. Sometimes if you analyze things too much, you come up with things that people can use that they'd say are racist, right? Like if you get into statistics about Black people, then people just say you're a bad person, pretty much. Like you kind of can't talk about it. So I guess it's the same way in some extent with Jays, is you're not supposed to notice. And that's why some people said Kanye was right. That's why some people said, especially at first, that Kanye was right, because, it's true. There is overrepresentation. Somebody should try to get to the bottom of it, right? Otherwise you're just saying, oh, no, it doesn't exist. It's not real. No, it is true. If you analyze it, it is true. High IQ, similar but related is victim status. You certainly can be more influential based on victim status, and that's a possibility. And for examples of that, you have, for example, Eliza Blue on Twitter claimed to be a victim of human trafficking. And so she has victim status and seems to have become more popular based on attributing herself with that status. So once you notice these things, then you have to think about whether people fake it. Because if you notice, oh, it's true, victim status gives you a more influential position in society, then people start to exploit it. And then you have like Taylor Lorenz, who claims that she's a victim, right? And Taylor Lorenz, that's another issue. It's like how I'll talk more about her in the future too. But victim status, for example, detransitioners are very popular. Why are they popular? Well, they're victims, right? Victim status. They were victimized by the medical system, so they are pretty influential people these days. You can be. That is one way. I mean, really, you can, if you are trans, you can become influential by becoming detrans. Now, in the same sense, you can become influential by being trans or saying you're trans. And that's like a protected minority status, which is also helpful. If, for example, you're a Black person who's conservative, that's helpful. You're much more likely. Or if you're a female who's conservative, you're much more likely to gain success. So then that's when you ask yourself, okay, who's serious about it, But if you're a good-looking female and you're conservative, although to be fair, being a good-looking female is also a predictor, right? Unfortunately. But yeah, being a good-looking female is definitely something that could become a predictor of being an influential person. But those people, they should still work on their other skills, so they're not just leaning on that. So anyway, there are other. See, I think too much. I think too much about stuff, and then you get yourself going down the wrong road. So we're trying to stay on the right road, though. If you want to support the show, and you are here because you are a true fan of the show, become or donate to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And you can leave a coffee there. Buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can leave a coffee or become a member. Another way is to be like a cult leader. Yeah, that's the other thing you can do. So, and that's where you get into this giving advice to people. So that's certainly something you can do. Like, why was QAnon successful? Why was QAnon successful? Because it was a New Age cult. It was a classic New Age cult, and like tons of stuff, when you break it down, is a New Age cult. Like tons of things, diets. I mean, all of these things that promise you that things are going to get better, that you can do something and things are going to get better, or that something is going to happen, or something is about to happen, or you just have to pray, or you just have to believe in certain things and things are going to get better. Or if I said, if you donate to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, you'll be a better person, or like your life will improve. But that's why QAnon caught on. QAnon was a New Age cult. I mean, it did promise a new age. And then it also had a lot of social engineering, people pushing out hashtags. People right now are social engineering me on Twitter, trying to push out the hashtag Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. People coordinated at the beginning of QAnon to push out hashtags. That was a coordinated effort. It's a very complicated world. I'll probably take some phone calls. Let me tell you guys the news. Thanks for tuning in. J. Scott Weller says QAnon was just plain fun. It was, I don't know, fun. It was fake the whole time from the very first post, but it caught on. So those things, like when I learned those things, I started a LARP on 4chan. I did a 4chan LARP based on my knowledge of how 4chan LARPs do. People don't even know about it. But I posed as an insider in the Ron DeSantis campaign saying that there was vaccine stuff coming out. But all you have to do is promise something's going to happen. So I'd like around the election, right? This was classic. So then you got to talk about like people who were involved in Stop the Steal, for example, and one of whom I'm having on tomorrow night. Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska is coming out tomorrow. We'll ask him about this stuff. But Stop the Steal. Okay. I know there were people who believed in it, but mostly it was a promise of something that was never going to happen. A promise that you were going to make Trump president somehow, which was never, ever going to happen in a million years. So, and people, but people told people that. And the biggest videos on BitChute at the time were people predicting that Donald Trump would be president. So and it's just a technique. People use it. So my technique for my 4chan LARP was to say, oh, there's like, you guys just wait. That's what people said with QAnon. Just wait. You'll see. People told me, just wait, you'll see. Future proves past, etc. It never happened. Trump didn't win. He didn't take down the deep state. It was just like it was a LARP. Somebody LARPed. Because somebody knew how it worked, how a New Age cult works. And they said Hillary Clinton's going to be arrested. Like Monday. That's what the first post from QAnon said. Hillary Clinton's going to be arrested on Monday. So sometimes I make videos where I say the world's going to end, right? Like I made one, and it was one of my most popular videos because somebody was saying, you guys remember that? It happens every once in a while. People say, oh, they pick a date. They pick a date. That's something you can do. If you want to make a popular video and make a ridiculous claim and somehow try to back it up. Make a ridiculous claim that can't possibly be true and somehow try to back it up by evidence. Like Quinn Michaels, he went viral for saying that Bitcoin was programmed by AI. I believe that's what he said. And people thought he had enough background knowledge to actually say that. But it wasn't true, and he actually didn't have any information about it. But it went super viral. Somebody interviewed him. He made that ridiculous claim, and it went super viral. People believed it. Some of the videos I had that were super viral were incorrect, ridiculous claims. I'll say that. And sometimes a predictor of success, some people who are successful are kind of bipolar. So that's true. And some people are kind of autistic too. But bipolar, like people like Alex Jones, for example, people that say ridiculous things sometimes. Oh, there are a lot of people on the internet have, a lot of creative people. They're not 100% neurotypical. And then some other people, I won't get into autistic people because I don't want to name names, but like Kanye West, for sure, almost for sure is. Some of my best content or some of my most viral content was kind of bipolar, really. To be just totally honest. So it sometimes it helps. I know other people too. We won't call everybody out though. Ye already got diagnosed, so we can say. Anyway, that's the overanalysis of everything. We've given you guys that. All right, let me give you guys the latest Twitter files. Or actually, let me show you this Tesla crashing into everybody. So AI is the craze. AI is the story for 2023. Tesla's cars claim to drive themselves. Like Tesla stock has been going down a lot. It might go down further. I don't know. But it's been going down a lot. It was super, super, super overvalued. One of the things that Elon Musk and his cars claim to do is drive themselves. So The Intercept did a story where they got some footage of Tesla in a tunnel, changing lanes and then just stopping and causing a huge pileup. I'll show it. Let's see. I'll show you guys the video. I'm not sure if there's sound. Look in the far left-hand lane. As you look at, I'm sorry, far left-hand, stage left, as they're driving towards you, stage left. So on the right-hand side of the picture, that's where the thing is going to happen. This is a car with full self-drive, which is what Elon Musk says his cars can do, just causing a huge pileup. I'll show you. Let's see. It's going to happen here. There. See him? He just pulls over and stops. And then a bunch of people all crash into each other. Oh, man. Pretty bad. The car just pulled over and stopped. So that's full self-drive. So anyway, I believe in automated cars, but I believe they have to be tested a lot. And they just let these things run free on the roads. There's not even any regulations. Elon Musk just pushes through a software update and the cars, and then he says full self-drive. And then people drive around and they post videos of themselves driving around. I've seen it. People say, oh, full self-drive is great. I've been driving around LA, etc. So that was an accident that happened. And he calls it full self-driving. Full self-driving beta. And it was a little bit after he tweeted this that this crash happened. So lots of stories. I mean, lots of different stories about Tesla's crashing while in full self-drive mode. And even Elon Musk says Musk says that the autopilot features are, quote, really the difference between Tesla being worth a lot of money or worth basically zero. So he's saying it's true. Elon Musk, I don't know if he's as smart as, he just doesn't seem that smart when he talks, but he is ahead of the curve on emerging technologies, like for sure. He built electric cars, but a long time ago, way before they became mandatory in California, and they are going to be mandatory in California in 2035. So he was doing that a long time ago, and he's been doing self-driving. But there are other self-driving car programs that are better than Tesla's, like Google's program Waymo is actually superior, most likely. So are you guys looking forward to it? Will you drive I'll put out a poll. Start a poll. Would you like a self-driving car? I'll ask. Most people seem opposed. Just up front, they think, oh no, I'd rather drive myself. But I could tell you the benefits. What if I told you your insurance costs would go down 75%, probably, because they wouldn't crash. They would never crash. You saw that crash that the Tesla did, but once they get it figured out, it really shouldn't cause accidents or be an accident. So your insurance costs would go down. It would be more fuel efficient, or it could be. You could tell it to drive in a fuel efficient manner. And then you can do stuff while you're driving instead of driving, which I would think people would want. But we'll see how the poll goes. People are averse to new technology. There's a difference in people. There's a difference in like human beings. That's why it's weird, half the country is Democrats and half the country is Republicans somehow. Like it works out. It's because there are different kinds of people. There are people who are progressive and embrace new things. And there are people who are conservative who don't embrace new things. And so I have probably my audience is more conservative. And if I want to analyze it, some of the analysis of it, I could, if you really want to see an overanalysis of everything, one thing that is popular, which people wouldn't necessarily know, is child abuse content, like about Epstein, for example. Very, very popular content, very high engagement. People are kind of psycho about it. I mean, you're definitely more likely to get involved with people who are psycho if you're talking about child abuse stuff. But people are more engaged, probably more likely to donate and stuff. So that's another reason to wonder when people are pushing that kind of content. And so, which you don't hear me talk about it too much, even though I'm aware of that thing. But like the Balenciaga story, I knew that would probably be a pretty big story. And that was one of the videos I made with the most views. So people might sensationalize that kind of content for views. It's possible. Just saying it's possible. All right. Let me give you guys, are you getting rid of your gas stove? Are we going full? Is everything going to be electric? Somebody came out with a study that said gas stoves cause asthma in kids. So they were going to ban gas stoves. Anyway, somebody pointed out that, what's her name? AOC has a gas stove. She says she rents, so it's not her fault. But we have a gas stove, so check this out. If everything going electric is really dangerous, just we don't have the infrastructure for every car to be electric and stuff. Like we're really rushing ahead of things, even though I believe electric cars are the future, depending on how fucked up it is getting the materials for them and stuff. But electric cars make sense in a lot of ways. They have a lower center of gravity, it makes them higher performance, they handle better. They have like comparing the number of moving parts is ridiculous. I mean, they have almost no moving parts, so they require almost no maintenance. So therefore, there are benefits to it. And then you can have super high performance. I mean, the Teslas are the fastest cars on earth, fastest car in a drag race, faster than a Lamborghini, faster than a Ferrari. Fastest car, period, is going to be a freaking 4-door Tesla electric car because of the physics of it, because you can deliver more torque immediately. So electric cars probably are the future. I mean, they make sense in a lot of ways, but they're no good in the apocalypse. They're really not good in the apocalypse or when the power goes out. Like the power just went out the other night. Here it goes out. We have the power go out way more often than it should where we are. What are you supposed to do? What if you can't charge your car? What if you can't cook? We at least, when the power went out, we could make food because we have a gas grill. Where are we going to get the infrastructure for all these electric cars? How are we going to have enough electricity? It's going to require way more electricity. Where are we going to get the electricity from? if we get the electricity from nuclear power or something like nuclear power, then I'm all for it. I mean, nuclear power to me is definitely the future, hopefully the future, because with more power, humans can do more things. And cars in the apocalypse run on gas, because in the apocalypse, you're just not going to get energy. Although if you have but solar panels on your roof, not crazy. I mean, I don't know if the investment pays for itself or anything. That's debatable. But solar panels, okay, that's not crazy. That's kind of off the grid thinking. But instead of windmills, we should just have nuclear power plants. For real. Nobody dies from nuclear power accidents. All right, let me show you AOC talking about her gas grill. Let's see.
I do think it's funny, the like absolute utter Republican meltdown where they're like, you can take my gas stove or my cold dead hands. Or how dare you talk about gas stoves? You have a gas stove. First of all, I rent, period. Second of all, though, it doesn't even matter, because by that logic, these are the same people who would have said we should have never gotten rid of leaded gasoline. Just because someone may have driven a gasoline car. Science evolves and gives us new knowledge with time. I do think it's funny that
I don't know. I know science and stuff. It just seems to me that I know what happens to hydrocarbons when you burn them. They turn into CO2 and water vapor, typically. So if there are, and CO2 is not harmful, and water vapor is not harmful. So if you ever do it's cool to do chemistry. It's cool to learn chemistry. Then you can learn what hydrocarbons look like and how hydrocarbons interact with heat and oxygen to create carbon dioxide and water vapor. That's what comes out of cars for the most part now. Used to be worse. Yeah, my dad worked for the EPA, so I know he regulated tailpipe emissions. It used to be worse. Smog and stuff was created by particulate matter that came out of cars. But now, mostly, what comes out of cars and what comes out of gas when you burn it, mostly, if you're burning it, is carbon dioxide and water vapor, which are not harmful to anybody, no matter what they say. So I'm not sure where this harm is coming from. The gas itself could be harmful if you're not burning it. That's possible. But if you're burning it, there's a chemical reaction that takes place, which turns it into benign chemical, So I'm not sure where they came up with it. Apparently they walked it back. Apparently they're not going to ban gas grills anymore. So, right. We have gas here, but the whole idea towards electrification of everything. Yeah. Unless we have an energy source, you're still going to burn stuff, right? Like for these cars, you still have to create the energy somehow. So and you could burn gasoline, which emits, like I said, CO2. Mostly, that's it. Or you could do other things. You can set up a million windmills that might not work, that kill flocks of birds. So if people are serious, I take people seriously if they're environmental, if they talk about nuclear power, I'm all for it. I think burning things that come out of the ground, whether it's harmful or not, if you can do it a different way, then that's an efficiency. If you can do it a way that uses less resources, then I think that's an efficiency. So if you can create energy in a way that's more efficient, which I believe nuclear power is, then that's a good thing. And using power, people don't realize, power has become more efficient. Light bulbs. People did freak out. It is true. I mean, it is true. Conservatives, people who are conservative and are just hold on to the past, it is kind of funny. I mean, people got mad when they started getting rid of incandescent light bulbs, right? Which use way more power than LED or compact fluorescent CFLs. Way more. So actually, it really is better for everybody to use less power if possible. And so we have created that. People don't realize the efficiencies we've created with lighting. Lighting is the main thing we needed electricity for originally, right? And we use way, way less to light things now. Like my light right now, it's just a bunch of little LEDs. It would have used to have to be like for a light like this, I need a hot studio light. People don't remember. So advancements are good. Self-driving cars, you guys will get used to. Let's see how the poll is going on the self-driving cars. 76% of people say no. I'm just telling you, the 76% of people say they don't want a self-driving car. And you will. Like it'll become normal. It will become normal this decade, because Tesla's already so close. I mean, Tesla's already got cars that pretty much do it. Like for me, honestly, my mom couldn't drive. Okay. And some people make jokes. They say men are better drivers and stuff. My mom like couldn't drive. She was terrible. She just run into stuff to the point where it inhibited her from going places. Like she had to get people to give her a ride places because she couldn't drive. So I think to myself, wow, a self-driving car would have made a big difference in her life. She's not around anymore. So a self-driving car would have made a big difference. Even Uber would have made a big difference because even Uber wasn't really a thing when she was around. But self-driving cars would be huge because there are a bunch of people, you know what I mean? And like, what about, if you're going to be racist, like what about Asian drivers? Like, wouldn't you rather, if you're racist about Asian drivers? Because I've heard, but seriously, I talked to this guy just to be super analytical about it. I talked to this guy who had a trucking company, and he would teach drivers. And he said his determination was that there's actually something different about Asian people where they actually can't drive very well. Like there's something like different about the way their brain works. That's what this guy determined. He taught truck drivers and stuff. And he said he noticed, and I've been on lots of test drives too. I mean, this is stuff, maybe it's uncomfortable to talk about, but I've been on lots of test drives too. And I will tell you some of the scariest test drives. And then I could tell you about some of the smelliest test drives to be racist towards another group. But we don't want to do that. We don't promote racism, but there are differences between people. People are different. All right. You guys still want to hear the Russia files? Basically the story of the Twitter files today was that Russian bots, I was way into this back in the day. So I definitely called it 100%. I should be dunking, I guess. But 100%, I made a bunch of material about the huge joke that was Russian bots. And actually, I played this clip of a news show in the UK where they had a guy on the show, this old guy who had been posting tweets, and he had been labeled as a Russian bot. And they had him on the show, and they said, "Sir, so tell us, sir, are you a Russian bot?" And he's like, they have him right in front of him. They go, "Are you a Russian bot?" So this Twitter files, number 14, the Russiagate lies, is about Russian bots and how the claim that there were Russian bots was not true, according to Twitter, who would know, basically. The claim about Russian bots wasn't true at all, and it was pushed by the mainstream media and everybody else without checking with Twitter, who the whole time said it wasn't true. And this has to do with Nunez files, which shot down the Russiagate misinformation. So a lot of what the Twitter files have revealed is the fakeness of the Russiagate allegations and how they just use Russia to blame people for stuff. They'll just label you as Russian, like they did to WikiLeaks. One of the ways they got WikiLeaks is they said, oh, because they were like a Russian op and they got their information from Russian hackers, which I don't think was true. Cozy Bear and all that stuff, I think is like also made up. I think a lot of the stuff about Russia is completely 100% made up. And actually, that's what this story tells today, which is that Twitter officials constantly said that they weren't seeing evidence of Russian trolls or bots, and that in fact, what they were seeing was organic from like regular Americans. So one of the things that it was about was the release the memo hashtag, and that was the Devin Nunez memo, which detailed abuses by the FBI in obtaining FISA surveillance authority against the Trump, including the role played by the Steele dossier. So Devin Nunez put out that information like way long ago, January 2018, about how there were FISA abuses. And then the mainstream media responded to that memo saying it was a joke, even though it was all verified later. The media called it a joke, and it seemed to be in unison. Here are the different. Here, let me show you. 2 ex-DOJ officials on Nunez memo, a bad joke. That's on MSNBC. The Hill says Andrea Mitchell, Nunez has turned the House Intel Committee into a joke. And this is about something that was true. The Nunez memo is out. It's a joke and a sham, according to these people at the Washington Post. Ex-RNC chairman rips Nunez memo for the joke that it is. The Onion is mad you're stealing their material, even though it was turned out to be true. Everybody said it was just a joke. And then the release the memo hashtag, they claimed, was spread by Russians based on this dashboard, the Hamilton 68 dashboard. I remember all this. We made a t-shirt. We made a t-shirt that said Russian bot. Okay, that was a joke. At the beginning of 2018, I guess it was, whenever the whole Russian bot, whenever this whole thing was happening, we made a t-shirt that said Russian bot because it was a joke that they were blaming Russian bots for the things real people were doing. That was the joke at the time. So we had a t-shirt and everything at the time pointing out how ridiculous it was that they were blaming Russian bots for what was clearly organic activity by mostly Americans. So this confirms it, though. It's good. It's just a bunch of tweets confirming it, basically. How everything was based on media reports and this Hamilton 68 dashboard, and nothing was based on what was going on at Twitter, where at Twitter, they said nothing was happening. There was no Russian bot program. So, and then the more they said there were no Russian bots, the more they said there were no Russian bots, the more they asked for proof of Russian bots. And then there's my friend of the show, Last American Vagabond, who is critical of every single Twitter files drop. And he calls it the mother of all limited hangouts. But I disagree, actually. I just disagree. I think it is meaningful, certainly. Limited hangout means that there's more information that they're not releasing, and that they're releasing the simple information that we can take in order so that they don't have to release the real information. Is that what I believe is happening? No, I don't think so. I just disagree. I think it's legit. I think it's legit reporting. I think Taibbi's legit. I think the people reporting on it are mostly legit. And I think it's real good information. Like confirming, yes. Confirming what we already knew, yes. I understand that argument. Okay, well, we already knew that. Okay, well, that's true. We did already know. But it's still nice to have the freaking receipts, right? And they should report on it in the mainstream media. It shows how the mainstream media bought into fake narratives. So anyway, that's the latest Twitter files. And let's see, I think that's the news I have for you guys today. You guys got an overanalysis of everything. We were able to limit the size of the audience today through clever titling. Now we'll see if we've been appropriately rewarded for our time by checking out buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, where you can leave notes and encouragement for the show. But I didn't give any advice this show, right? Basil Van Sire bought a coffee last time and said, I think your thumbnails are better than the AI's. Did I already read that one last show? I think I already read that. We'll see if anybody got me a coffee this show. Over on Rockfin, thanks for the tips. Thanks, Vogan Filter, who says camera looks amazing. I think he's probably joking about how it was upside down. Oh, excellent. Here's Fallen Karyatid, got 5 coffees. Thank you. Says, hi, Nathan, longtime listener here from back when you first spoke about number systems. I commented to you about how lifting the veil was the apocalypse. I go by Jersey Flame now. So glad you are back on YouTube, but I did just sign up to Rockfin to watch. Have a great day. Thanks, Fallen Karyatid. Thank you. We're catching up with people from our past. And people are saying, oh, it's good to see you again. That's what I'm getting. Thank you for that. Brian M got 3 coffees. Says, for surprising me with longer monologue, then dropping the catchy intro, noticing patterns, and having baked on. Thanks for keeping it interesting. Okay, thanks, Brian M. Yeah, the baked interview should be interesting. He's a controversial figure. Thanks, Elvis C, who got a coffee. And thanks, Rip the Veil, who says, I liked the AI artwork thumbnails. Thanks for doing calls, says Rip the Veil. And I think that was yesterday. I have been taking calls more. So yeah, I could take a phone call today. We'll see. Sure. Why not? I take phone calls. I'm on earlier, so that's good. I got started kind of on time today. And then I didn't even do that full intro. Hey, you're on the air.
Nathan, my man, it's Hobo Tommy.
Hey, Hobo Tommy, was the show better today?
Yeah, man. Hey, dude, tackling the JQ. That's a bold move.
That's
the edgy stuff I like to hear.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So I can count on you for some donos then for bringing up the J's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll hook you up.
All right.
I'll throw
cool.
you some stuff.
Okay.
Well,
I do. It is hard. It is hard for a person who notices patterns, to be able to think that, oh, you're not allowed to talk about this one thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
I know.
Give me a break, man. I mean, if you look around sometimes and it's like, well, everybody's Jewish. Like, what's up with that? Like all of them, you start thinking, okay. And so I don't know. They want to make it wrong to think that. I don't think anything bad about them. Just notice that they're just noticing. That's all.
Well, hey man, they don't want you to know this.
I
And number two,
know.
hey, was that study about the IQs? I bet you that was written by a J. So take
Well,
that for what it's worth.
yeah, good question. I got to look into. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think they said it was. I think it was Ashkenazi Jews, and they said it's like an average of 15 points higher than a regular person. But then like South Koreans, I think were another one. I think it was like Ashkenazi Jews and like South Koreans who had the highest IQs.
Look, this is what I have to say on IQs. You never want to know your IQ. Never trust anyone who discloses their IQ to you. Okay, there's a few reasons for this. Number one, you never want to be the smartest guy in the room. Okay, at work, in your friends group, because when shit goes wrong, everybody's gonna throw you under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Never be the smartest guy in the room.
Okay. All right. That's good advice. I think.
And you did you ever listen to Howard Stern? Were you a Howard Stern fan?
Yeah, I was a big fan.
So do you remember one of the guys on the show, Brett? He was like the smart guy on the show. Anytime Howard had a question about like politics, they would bring him in, right?
Well, there was the guy that did sound effects who was pretty
Yeah, that's
smart. But who
yeah.
else? Who are you talking about? I'm trying to think. This is before
Is
satellite
Brett
radio?
no, this was in the satellite years. This was only a
Oh.
few years ago.
Oh, I might not.
But
I haven't been listening for a long time. I listened when he went to satellite for a year or two, and then I stopped listening, I think.
well, the point I'm trying to make is Howard Stern made everybody on the staff take an IQ test.
Oh,
And
really?
so Brett thought he was really smart, and he came across as fairly intelligent. He took the IQ test. It broke him.
Oh, really?
He fell apart. He fell apart the years afterwards, and he got into an open relationship with a chick. He quit the show. He got into drugs, and now he's a literal cuck.
Really?
Like his wife does amateur porn with other dudes.
Interesting.
So I would recommend people like not getting too caught up into the IQ question, because number one, like you always have a high opinion of yourself. You're always going to think it's higher than what it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when someone validates you that are like, oh, hey, maybe I'm not as smart as I thought it was. Number one, it might break you psychologically. Or two, let's say you do have a really high IQ, that's going to give you a false sense of confidence, and then you're going to be one of these dudes that like smelling your own farts all the time.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. That makes sense. They had to test me when I was a kid. So they tested me and then they put me in special schools and stuff.
They tested me too. My parents would never tell me what mine was. And I thank them for that. I think that was a good move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like Shapiro, Tate. I mean, like, okay, number one, are you allowed to claim that you're smart if you fell for the jibby jabbies? Right? Like
Right.
that should be that's a no brainer, right?
It's a different kind of intelligence.
And number
Different kind of
two, but like
intelligence.
you keep saying this Tate guy's pretty smart. I mean, is he
Mhm.
that smart if he's like boasting about beating up women on
No,
social
like,
media?
well, obviously not, right? Like that's what I said is like if he'd gone to my university, I definitely would have had a class about not sending incriminating messages over the internet.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you
Which
know,
is crazy. So yeah, he was really dumb in a lot of ways, but he's
like,
good at
hey,
chess and like I
maybe
think
you
he has a high
signal.
IQ.
We'll cook it. Well, then like that goes back to what I'm saying with that false sense of security. There's a high IQ directly correlate to a practical intelligence. The
No,
answer is no.
definitely not. Definitely not. Like certainly not in my case. So definitely not.
Oh, I had something else. Oh, Elon Musk. I don't think he's that smart. Number one, he's supposedly a free speech, warrior,
Yes.
and he comes out and he says he has. Somebody asked him about Assange, and he goes, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." Oh, okay. Number one, you're stupid, or two, you're lying. So, I mean, the guy's a deep state stooge. He's a DARPA phony. I don't believe that he is the originator of most of the projects that he takes claim to. I think he's more of a Zuckerberg figure and was like just a stooge or a figurehead.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He got involved with PayPal, which was really smart to get involved in, like an internet payment service, like when he did get involved in it. And then he got involved in electric cars. Like that was really smart. He got involved in rocket ships. That was really smart because he's making, he like found these things that people would use and
That's
ended
the
up.
story they told you. That's
Yeah,
the,
but then who
that's the
was it?
face that they tell you.
If it wasn't him, then who was it? That
It's
got him
DARPA,
involved?
dude. You know all of his contracts, all of his business,
Mhm.
his entire wealth came from the military-industrial complex.
I know, kind of, right? Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
So take
Yeah.
that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yo, that's all I got, dude. I love the show, man.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Was trying to make sure it
Have a
was
good
good
one.
today. All right, see ya. All right. Someone in the chat said, something about us. Oh, censored mom says, sick of the J bashing. I hope that we weren't doing that on my show. Were we J bashing? I didn't mean to J bash. That's for sure. See, that's the problem I get into. I'm not even trying to J bash. J's are cool. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey,
man. Good evening.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, dude, I'm calling you from Texas. Did you know that?
I know that because of your area code. Yes.
Oh, dude, you know I'm an Austin dude.
Yeah, what's up? Austin, Texas.
Yeah, man, dude. This Freedom Lover.
Hey, Freedom Lover. How are you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I just got done with a real estate meetup here in Austin.
Oh, really?
I figured I'd give you a call and let you know how the market's doing.
Yeah. Tell me. I'm really interested.
Yeah, man. I didn't really listen to the show. I'm so sorry. I was busy talking to some dude who lost $100,000 by investing in Leander.
By investing in what? Investing in what?
Leander? I don't know.
No, what's that?
Leander is a city northwest of Austin, north of Cedar Park.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it was in real estate.
Didn't you live in like Pflugerville or something? You lived in.
I lived on the north end, but still, technically in Austin.
Technically in Austin, yeah, man. Well, yeah, dude, that guy is. He said he'd make money after 7 years. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, so what's the market like? I mean, what's going on? What are people saying?
Dude, it's pretty tough. What's funny is you'll hear the talking heads that the market's fallen like 10, 20%. But from what I can tell is that the market's definitely fallen like 20, 30%.
Really?
Maybe even 40, man.
Really?
It's
really? That's crazy. 40 is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? 40 is crazy. And but it's definitely creeping towards 30.
Really?
It's
you're talking about from the peak, right? You're talking about from the peak.
Yep.
Yeah.
From, I would say, like March 2022, I guess, was kind of like the peak.
Right.
Maybe, yeah, I think that might be the peak. And you know what's interesting, man, is like there's a lot of people who are trying to sell their house right now, and they also bought solar panels.
Oh, yeah.
And so anybody who bought their house and they bought solar panels, anybody who buys that house, they obviously don't want to buy a lien going against the property.
Right.
So they want the solar panels paid off.
Right. Right.
They're in the hole.
Really? Yeah, right. That's what this guy was saying that I listened to. I listened to this crypto guy he's building a new house. And he was talking about thinking about getting solar panels, and we could get them here. Like we're in California. It's a great place to have solar panels. But this guy was saying that the amount of time that it takes to recoup the investment is, I don't know, maybe 15 years or something. so that by the time you would recoup the investment, like you've moved. So I guess that's what people are experiencing in Austin, is that they did some kind of program where they got a loan, right, on the solar panels.
Yep.
And
30
now,
years.
the loans that they do, though, don't they just steal your electricity to pay for the loan, or what?
Well, so I used to sell those things, man.
Oh, did
I
you?
used to sell them. Yeah, dude, I sold an $80,000 system to a cop.
Really?
Yeah, it was a big system, but no, it was. But yeah, they. So there's a credit, which is obviously it's not a check that the government sends you. It's deducted from the taxes that you actually have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Like because you have taxable income, and then you have the taxes that you pay, and that's actually deducted from the tax that you pay. So if you're old, you don't pay any taxes, you'll never get that credit.
Right. Interesting.
There's a lot of people out there lying to people.
Really?
But you're right. There are some power companies here in Texas, and I'm sure they exist in California. They want to take the burden off of their grid, so they will give you like cash if you implement a solar system, like if you put it on your house. But it's not going to put a big dent in the amount of money that you have to pay for those solar panels.
Right.
And I don't know whether you do this or not, but solar panels, they degrade.
Right. Over
Every
time.
year,
Right.
they degrade
Right.
0.1%.
Mm-hmm.
So you multiply that by 20. If you have it for 20 years, like the system that you bought is going to be, it's going to be what?
And
or
also,
I guess like 1%. 1% per year.
and then also you have to deal with the fact that in 5 years there might be new solar panel technology which is 10 times better. That's the problem, really, is you could invest in something that's pretty good now that'll pay for itself in 20 years or something, or wait 5 years and then something will come out where it's like, oh, like totally affordable and creates more power. I mean, they'll probably come out with a more efficient way. Probably, right?
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, it has
over
to
time.
be exponential.
Over time, they're going to make it more efficient. So yeah, it is a difficult thing. But
I've heard that there's a limit. There actually is a limit for how many photons you can capture, like per layer. There is a theoretical limit. It's not just something that like you can push to the next level. There is a theoretical limit.
Okay.
On
all right.
Because you can layer. What they do is they like layer the photons or the like photogenic. I don't even know what they're called, but like those. However they capture the photons from the sun, but there is a limit because they are finite. But I figured you'd think that was pretty interesting, man. Nathan, everybody loves you.
Thank you.
Everybody buy a coffee.
Thank you.
Or buy a t-shirt. Truth Revolution Clothing.
Thank you. Thanks for the plugs. I appreciate it.
Have a great one, brother.
All
Talk
right.
to you later.
Thanks, man. See ya. Yeah. He sounds like a perfect candidate for our multi-level marketing scheme since he's already trying to recruit people. Yeah, Truth Revolution Clothing at truthclothing.io. People are calling. Hey, you're on the air.
Yes, hello. I listen to your show every time it's on the air.
Awesome. That's nice.
Yes. And I appreciate your pretty much unbiased opinion on everything.
Okay, that's cool too, even though I am kind of biased sometimes.
I mean, okay, whatever. So what are your thoughts on the whole Damara issue?
Which issue?
The whole Buffalo Bills guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. What do I think? I mean, I think that the diagnosis, that's the mainstream diagnosis, which is commotio cordis, is highly unlikely to be the cause.
I believe that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say like, I mean, he did get hit in the chest, but when you look into what causes commotio cordis, normally it's a baseball or a hockey puck or a lacrosse
Right.
ball. It's not a tackle. So it doesn't make sense to me that that was the reason. So which, you know, I'm not going to say what I think the reason is because that's against the rules and stuff, but I do think, like, I think commotio cordis is a real stretch based on like what I learned about commotio cordis, which is a real thing. Like somebody can punch
I
you
do as
or kick.
well.
Yeah, somebody can punch you in the heart and you could die. Somebody could kick you in the heart and you can die.
Yeah.
You know, but
So I
a
got in an
tackle, I don't know.
argument. Yeah, I got in an argument with the guy at work. He's much younger than me. I feel like I was singled out at work for kind of promoting, if you will, my standpoint on it. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a younger guy who was forced to take the vaccines. He plays lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's in his 20s. And so I got in this huge argument at work, and I was kind of shamed for it. And I'm just like, look, I'm just trying to tell you it's very nefarious if you're going to end up now with heart problems, you know? And he's like, well, and he kind of dismissed it. I just thought it was really odd
Yeah.
for him to dismiss that. And he's like, and he's in his 20s, and he's like, well, you know, that makes sense for me. And I was just like, wow. So I'm just trying to kind of feel people out on this whole thing where, you know, I myself have been anti-vax. I'm not vaxxed, and I feel this at work now with this whole issue that maybe these things are starting to come to light now in America,
Mm-hmm.
and you know,
Yeah.
maybe people won't be able to handle that.
Yeah. People won't be able to handle it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what people that have gone through the fact where they're forcing. So he was like, I was forced to, and I was like, look, I stood my ground. I work for Buffalo Wild Wings. They tried to force me to take the shot. I said no. Last January, I was fired for it, 100%. I
Mm-hmm.
worked in Maine, and you know, so and this poor kid, you know, he's younger than me, and he was like, look, I was forced to take it, and I was just like, oh wow, like.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this whole thing that happened with the NFL is going to start waking people up now,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're forced to take it or like me, where I didn't and I lost a job, or maybe, you know, you lost something for it, you know, and maybe this is all going to come to light now. That's
Yeah.
my thoughts.
I think it's entirely possible. And actually, like, people in the chat are commenting about Lisa Marie Presley, who may or may not be deceased.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. I saw the
Crazy.
news that she was rushed, that she had a cardiac event and ended up going to the hospital. The last news I saw was that she was still alive. I'm
Oh
looking
wow.
for, but people in the chat are saying that, yeah. So I do think, you know, it is becoming more, it is like the public conscious, the more people die, there's only so much you can do to cover up people dying. If like there's these excess death numbers, and if it's true that more people are dying, then eventually you have to take accountability for it one way or the other. And then people are going to say, okay, well, you know, everybody's saying, because half the country is saying it was the shot. So people are going to be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, was it? You know, people, they're going to start, like, they've heard it. Everybody's
So
heard
the
it. Everybody's
correlation.
heard somebody say that people are dropping dead because of the shot. So if they start to see more people dropping dead, then they're going to get more suspicious. And yeah, eventually it might. And then people will do all kinds of things, like the person you talk to. I think people who were forced into it or took it for their own reasons are going to go through all kinds of mental gymnastics to convince themselves that it's not true, or, you know, like, you were shamed for having your opinion. I think they'll do that. People will do that just because it's like human nature. Nobody wants to admit they made a mistake, you know, or that
I mean, it's
they were
true.
fooled.
Yeah, it's true.
People don't like to admit they were fooled, right? That's what they always say. So
So then they go anti, and it's like, hey, let's just make everybody else that didn't do it feel like a piece of shit.
yeah, I know. It's terrible, right? It's a terrible society we live in. That it's like that.
But no, I appreciate your show, and
Thanks, man.
thank you for taking my call. And
Cool.
I watch you every time I can, like every show.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
Oh, that's nice. Cool. Yeah, we're taking calls. You can donate to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I've been extending the shows a little bit and taking more calls. It's funny we got enough people tuned in today, even with the non-clickbait title, the intentionally non-clickbait title. Thanks, Tom Justice, who bought a coffee. Appreciate you. Who says appreciate you, brother. And Hobo Tommy got 3 coffees. Even though we upset Censored Mom in the chat, who said we were talking badly about the Jays, and we don't mean to, or I don't mean to. I don't mean to say anything. I don't mean to say anything derogatory towards Jays. If anything, I'm saying they're probably smarter, like, and they're overrepresented. That's all. Which I think technically you're allowed to say without being called anti-Semitic. Theoretically, they say you can say there is overrepresentation as long as you don't say it's a conspiracy theory. So I thought that's what I did. I don't think it's fair to not be able to say there's overrepresentation because, what are you just not supposed to notice things? But I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, certainly, or even that there's conspiracy. If anything, I'm just saying, well, they might be smarter. There might be something to that. That's all I'm saying. So I definitely don't mean to be, I don't want to say anything derogatory toward Jays. But I understand, based on things that are real, why people have conspiracy theories. That's for sure. Based on things that are real, I understand. I can understand how people come around to that viewpoint. I can understand even how Ye got screwed up, I guess, on the whole topic. So, but we don't mean to. I certainly don't mean to be. But sometimes I say things that are insensitive, right? So I apologize for that. Oh, Victoria Pandora says it's confirmed that Lisa Marie Presley is dead. I mean, geez. People are just dropping dead like crazy, right? And you can't say. They'll say, oh, well, it definitely wasn't the. So she was at the Golden Globes not even a week ago. Golden Globes were like 2 days ago. And that guy made a funny joke about being black. Hey, you're on the air. Hey, you're on the air. Hello? Oh, that's weird. I have no sound. Hello? That was weird. All right, I might have one other call. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button if you would. Hit the like button. Hey, you're on the air. Hello? No, it's not working. It's not me. If you can hear me, it's not me. It's you. I see the call. Okay. They have a problem on their end, I guess. I might take one more call and then I got to get going. Oh, wait, what is today? Wednesday? Today's Wednesday, right? Oh, okay. Wednesday, Katie has Pilates, so I make dinner a little later. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, Nathan, it's Censored Mom. Hi.
Hey, Censored Mom. Hey, what's up?
Hey, no, I just didn't want you to think my comment was directed at you.
Oh, okay, no problem.
It was a kind of like in general.
Okay, I got it.
I was just like, oh, I'm kind of sick of the you-know-what bashing.
Yes, I understand.
I'm just saying that because I feel like I have J-bashing fatigue.
Yes, I can understand that.
I completely support free speech, but I think it was just something I typed. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
It wasn't directed at you.
Well, good. I want to be careful.
Sorry.
I certainly want to be careful. I definitely don't want to break any rules. So I get worried when somebody says something like that. I think, oh no, I hope I'm not doing that.
Oh no. And two, it was even more directed at maybe the caller.
Okay, I
I
understand.
definitely was. I was totally not.
Okay, I understand.
Sorry,
that's cool.
I didn't.
Don't worry about it.
I also don't want to get your show in trouble. So.
Okay, cool. No problem.
Yeah, and
you're cool.
Okay, so yeah.
That's cool. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. No big deal.
All right.
All
Okay,
right.
bye, Nathan.
All right. See ya. Well, some people have white bashing fatigue too. That's true. I have some material. God, I got to tell you, you guys have to talk to me about whether I do some stand-up comedy. See, I have material for stand-up, but a lot of it's about Jays. Just because I find some of it funny, I'm a little concerned about it. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey Nathan, how's it going?
Hey, it's working now.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on before.
Okay, cool. What's up?
Oh, not much. Yeah, just good show. I just wanted to say a little something about the progress in the light bulbs you were talking about.
Yeah, light
For
bulb
one thing.
progress. Yes, progress in light
Yeah.
bulbs. Yes.
Because you're 100% correct. Because I have to use like a Jackery kind of power supply thing to do events and stuff, and the incandescent bulbs will like burn out through the battery in like an hour or two.
Yeah.
Whereas
definitely.
you can go like eight hours with the LED lights. But
Yeah.
But I was wondering if you heard anything about, they would call it like Li-Fi, like where they would amplify the like a wireless signal or something through the LED lights.
How does that work?
I don't know. See, I've just seen videos where they'll have the LED light and they'll turn it on, and then it'll like the EMFs will just spike, and then yeah. So I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory that I haven't tested, and I don't know.
Okay.
But one thing I do know is for the fluorescent bulbs, they have like high levels of mercury in them.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
And so that's a big problem with those ones. And obviously the incandescent bulbs just have a better quality of light usually. But,
yeah, although it used to be way different between a CFL and an incandescent bulb. Like a CFL looked like shit, but now they've made the light better, haven't they?
Yeah, there's certain LEDs that do have a warmer light that they can make, but most of them don't. It's pretty rare. So like, but yeah, supposedly they do amplify EMFs, which is kind of weird and suspect if that's true. But I mean, I haven't tested it myself, but they definitely are energy savers. It's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like I don't know, it's one of the things I think about when they talk so much about global warming and how it's so bad. But if you think about technological advancements, then you think, we might not have to do anything to solve global warming other than let technology progress. And I think of the example of just how much less energy we use now to light things because it takes less energy, and how we created that efficiency and how we'll create other efficiencies too. And maybe eventually we'll figure out a way to make power, like with, what is it? It's nuclear fission, right? That they're working on. If they figure that out, then we'll just have unlimited power and we don't have to worry about putting out anything. And we don't have to do any like draconian measures like mandating electric cars and shit. It'll just happen, So
yeah, I mean, according to like a lot of the people that believe in etheric energy, there's always the possibility that could be, and they wouldn't let us have that because that might be something that you could do yourself, right?
Yeah, right.
And so they wouldn't let you have unlimited free energy because they want to be the middleman.
I've seen people who make their own stuff who've capture energy straight out of the air, who can like put up an antenna and like light a light bulb out of energy they pull out of the air. I've seen that before. So it's already possible.
Yeah. That's like Tesla's basically research, right?
Yeah, people make these coils out of copper and they put them in the shape of a torus. They make these coils, all copper, and then somehow they're able to turn into these conductors, and then they're able to capture electricity straight out of the air, like with an antenna, kind of. It's interesting.
Yeah. And on that note of the mercury, because I do remember a lot of people pushing the more like the pigtail kind of fluorescent bulbs,
Mm-hmm.
5-10 years ago. And I did definitely think it was very suspect how much they were pushing those.
Mm-hmm.
When they did, because they just end up in landfills or wherever, and they just leach into the water supply or whatever with the mercury.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons I was so suspicious of that was I had, like, I don't know, maybe you do, but a lot of people have had mercury metal fillings, the amalgam,
Yes.
mercury amalgam.
Yeah, I used to at one point.
Amalgam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then they replaced them all,
Yeah.
right? Then the dentist is like, "Oh, we need to take out your old mercury fillings and put in
Still,
porcelain."
some don't though.
Mm-hmm.
Some still use the metal
Mm.
amalgam. And I mean, I feel like there is definitely an agenda to get like mercury put in our bodies somehow. I don't know exactly why, but I feel like that is part of some kind of conspiracy. I mean, I do think it. I mean, it made me really sick. That's why I got all my fillings replaced. Yeah,
really?
yeah, I got
Interesting. Do they still put that? Is it in certain vaccines? Without being a conspiracy theorist, are they in? It is in certain vaccines.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally. They say it's a preservative or something.
Right. Or
which just seems
either
like
a
weird.
preservative or like aluminum, they call it an adjuvant.
An adjuvant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, they say it's like, oh, it's so that it will adhere maybe to certain molecules or something.
Or it'll stimulate an immune response or something.
Yeah, that's the aluminum too.
That's the aluminum,
they do the
right?
Aluminum.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So it's either aluminum or mercury.
That's crazy. It's crazy you can't say, it's crazy they say you can't say vaccines cause autism, but there is like a connection between aluminum in your brain and autism, and vaccines do have aluminum. So one could come to the conclusion that they're connected, even though obviously everybody says vaccines are safe and effective and all that. But it is interesting that aluminum, like, it isn't good for you just in general.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it's wild. They just extract it from like rocks and stuff. It's not something that they even knew about, 100 years ago or like more than that maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's like stainless steel has a lot, and we mostly cook with that, and there's aluminum in there, like mixed in with other metals. But
I didn't know that there was aluminum in stainless. Oh, that's interesting.
Not always, but because it's stainless steel just means basically a combination of metals. It's like chromium and other things. But
right.
But anyways,
cool, man.
But yeah, hey, I did have a question. Because I started listening to you back in like 2018, I think. But I was just curious because you had that Fang guy. What's his name? Fang something. What's his name? Not Fang.
Defango. You're talking about Defango?
Defango.
Oh, yeah.
Defango, yeah.
Yeah.
So it seemed like you had like drama with other like YouTubers around that time that they were like fucking with you, right? I mean,
yes.
Was he one of the guys that was doing that?
Yeah, he was.
So do you think they're like connected to some kind of like PSYOP organization, or they were like doing that too?
Well, yeah, there were people involved in that who did run like, I mean, Defango's no stranger to LARPs and PSYOPs. So because he was involved in Cicada, which is one big giant ARG basically, which is similar to LARPing. So he was involved in Cicada. Cicada was involved in, I think, gang stalking and stuff. So he knows about all that stuff. And then the people from Cicada were like, I think that guy Schoenberger was after me for a while, Thomas Schoenberger, who's like a notorious gang stalker. And then there are other people who are involved in it and stuff too. But
and it's kind of like, they make it personal because they're jealous of your success, kind of, right? Probably.
Yeah, well,
they manipulate them.
They'll claim that I was attacking them and it was just like a fair fight. That's what they'll claim. That I attacked them first and they were just defending themselves.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I was just curious about that because I had missed that whole period or whatever, and I kind of like.
Yeah, that's an epic.
Tuned in after the fact.
Yeah, that was like one of the more bipolar episodes of YouTube. It was pretty crazy. The drama going on between me, Defango, Dave Swigert, George Webb, and then All Seeing You and other people. It was really, and then this satanic cult that was involved too. Man, it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad
Yeah, I was
scene.
getting crazy recommendations on YouTube around that time. Like it was like free for all, like crazy like stuff coming up, and I don't know, it just seemed 2016, 2017, a lot of like confusion on YouTube, and
It was a different time, that's for sure. It was a
wild
totally
time,
different
but
time.
it was I just was wondering about that. I mean, I think I've been a victim of like sky stalking. I don't know about anything.
What's that called? What kind of stalking?
Got like drone.
Oh,
like,
really? By drones? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, in Portland, not
Really?
in where I'm at now, but there's a lot of weird activity in the sky there, and most people don't even like look up in there. And
That's
there's
true.
heavy chemtrail spraying there too, way more than most places I've been. So I don't know if it's connected or whatever, but there's some weird, like a lot of weird stuff going on there. But once you notice it, basically, it's kind of like that thing when you look into the abyss looks back at you. You know, if you start noticing what's going on and pay attention to it, it starts paying attention to you. You know, you become, once you look into conspiracy theories, the conspiracy theory looks into you. You know, more or less.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. That's true. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it was, hey, good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
And keep it up.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. See ya. All right. Cool. I thought it was Wednesday. It's actually Thursday. See, you lose track of days of the week when you're a YouTuber. So I thought it was Pilates day. So that's the last call. Let me check to see if anybody dropped me any more coffee. Thanks for people who support the show. Thanks for people who dropped coffees at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can do that even after the show's over, and I'll read it on the next show. Hoax Wars got a coffee. It says, excited for the Yoba show. Let's flip and go. The Yoba is the name for Baked Alaska. That show is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, live. And I was saying we could take phone calls, but we probably can't take phone calls because it just could get too far out of hand. But yeah, Yoba is going to be on the show tomorrow. That's Baked Alaska, who has a real name too. Giannet, I believe, something French. Down at Vices got a coffee and said, the cost of free speech is not free. I remember when some people said you were a J years ago. Yeah, people still say that. They're like, oh, I thought he was. That's what people say. Oh, I thought he was Jewish. I thought Nathan was Jewish. Yeah, that's what people say. But that's cool too. I like being mistaken for being Jewish. That's cool. I assume people are thinking good things about me. They're like, oh, like he's probably a bunch of positive characteristics. People, it's one of those things. That's a group where people have positive characteristics that they apply to them. Like you're good with money, you're likely to be successful in media, for example. All right. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Good to see you guys. And tomorrow is the show. Yeah. Baked Alaska tomorrow for the live show. So tune in for that. That'll be very interesting. And for now, that's what it is. Oh, thanks, Sticky Marks, for the super chat. Thanks, Sticky Marks, for the actual super chat on YouTube. Okay. And we'll see you guys at the next one. That's what it is.